recording studio. Today we're going to talk about water. So that's why I've got my nice little ducky pond in the background and I'm wearing my pink dolphin earrings. I'm all ready for this. There are two things that I want to tell you about water before I actually show you some containers for storing water. One thing is that we are trying to store 14 gallons of water per person. That is a minimum of 1 gallon of water a day for 2 weeks. That's not very much water, and actually it's not enough, but it's something to get started with. So I encourage you to go to the blog and find a little chart that I did there and make a chart for your family and start keeping track as you store water, but make sure you get that minimum. And after you've done that, multiply it by several times, because if anything happens and we really need water, you're going to wish you had a lot more than that. But let's start with the minimums and get those in place first. The second thing you need to know about storing water is that you do not want to store plastic of any kind with food or water in it on top of concrete. So if you're storing it in a basement, you want to make sure you put something like cardboard underneath it, or wood planks or something to get it up off the concrete, because plastic is porous and allows breathability through it, and some of the chemicals in the concrete can actually leach into your water and make it undrinkable. Also, the same goes for food storage, which we will talk more about later, but the same thing, you don't want to put plastic buckets on top of concrete. Okay, I'd like to just talk about a few different methods, containers for storing water, to kind of get you started and get you thinking. One thing that is really good and plentiful in a lot of people's houses is plastic pop bottles. We don't drink very much pop here, so I have to wait till Christmas time when people give these out as gifts or something. But this, I think this is water and not actually the pop in here. But this is a bottle that is suitable for storing water. And one of the things you want to look for when you're looking for appropriate water containers, and you probably all know about this, I'm going to try to, I don't know if you can see this or not. But anyway, on the bottom of the bottle, you've got a little triangle, and it has a number in it. In this case, it has a number 1, and underneath it has some letters, and I don't know if you can read those, but these letters are P-E-T-E. And what you're looking for in your storage containers are either PET or PETE. And just to impress you, I'm going to tell you what the PET means for those that might be curious, since I was. It stands for polyethylene tetraflalane. And it's a very strange word, and I had to practice 3 days before I could say that for you. But it doesn't make any sense to have a word like that, because tetraflalane has the combination of THL in it, and we don't have that combination in the English language that I know of. So somebody needs to work on that one. But anyway, PET works, polyethylene tetraflalane. That last E, I don't know what that stands for, but the only thing I could figure out is maybe there was a guy named Pete working in the chemical naming department or something, and he wanted to get his name out there. So sometimes you'll see his name on them, but sometimes it'll just be PET, and it's the same thing. So look for that. You will find that on the bottom of plastic pop bottles. You'll also find it on these kind of juice bottles. Here's another big juice bottle. But you want to look for that, and as long as it has that, that means these have been made and are suitable for food grade storage. Okay, my next storage container that I want to show you is my absolute favorite, and I think that you're going to agree with me that it's just a great way to do it as soon as I show you what this is. Okay, so I'm going to have Dan pan the camera down here. I know what you may be thinking, but this is not a beached baby whale. This is actually a water storage container. It's a 5-gallon Mylar bag that we fill with water, and obviously it could not be a very good container in this situation because it's not going to stack very well. Although I have thought that in this case, if you really got desperate, you could probably leave your pillow and take this out of the box that I'm going to show you and maybe use it as a pillow. So you might want to think about that. Anyway, what you do is you take, it'll come flat in a box, and you take it out and you fill it with water. And how I did it was I actually filled up 1 gallon of water with my sink in my kitchen, my water on full blast, and I timed it. And then I poured that water in here, and then I just timed it for 4 more times, however many it took to fill 1 gallon, and filled it up. That way I didn't have to do separately 1 gallon at a time. That's just something clever there if you want to try that. What you're going to do though, you're going to fill it up, and then you're going to take it and you're going to put it in these boxes that come with it. And it's cool because it's flexible enough that it just lowers right down And on this box, you have a little triangle kind of shape thing here at the end. It's not really a triangle, but funnel shaped, I don't know. Anyway, on the end, that's where you want the little spout on the bag to get in. Show that very well, that there's a spout on this bag. So you're going to put it by that, and then you are going to close in the sides and tape it shut. Let's see if I can do this by myself. Okay, and you tape it shut. And the nice thing about these boxes is that they've got handles on the ends. My box is about 10 years old though, so we hope it's not going to break on me. It's about time for me to get these replaced. But these things weigh 40 pounds. Oh, it is going to maybe rip. Anyway, you can lift them. And you're going to put it up if you ever, well that didn't work very well. If you ever need to use this, this is a great thing. We have had several times where the city has called us and told us that the water was shutting off. So I've been able to go downstairs, just find one of these nifty little containers, and you bring it up here, and you put it next to the sink. Although I do suggest pulling the spout out when it's in an upright position, because it's easier to get out. Pull the spout up, and then you put it down in the narrow little place there, and you set it over this. And you got to trim the spout so that it's down. And then when you need to use the water, you just do that, and it dispenses into your sink. It's awesome. And usually it doesn't leak much, so if it is leaking, you have to mess with it a little bit to make sure it's down tight. But like I say, this one's 10 years old, so we probably need to replace it. However, one of the nice things about these containers is they come clean and sterile. If you put clean tap water out of them that's been chlorinated like your city water typically is, you do not have to rotate it. And our water, this water always tastes good no matter when we get it out. And we've tasted it several times over the years and had to use it. Okay, that's all I wanted to show you in here. We're going to go outside for just a second and I'll show you something else real quick. Okay, one more way of storing water that I wanted to show you that I think is a great thing to do is to get some 55-gallon water barrels. You can store these outside. I don't know where you live, obviously, but I live in Utah, and we store these outside all year long. So far, we haven't had any trouble with these. You can buy them on sale around $40 a piece. The worst case scenario is closer to $60, but it's worth it either way. 55 gallons is a lot of water, and it would provide you, you've got right here, obviously, about 200 gallons of water, so that's going to get us by for a while. The neat thing about these too is obviously they're 400 pounds and they'd be too hard to move, but what they have is they sell these little pumps, and these aren't terribly expensive, usually anywhere from $8 to $10 or $12, and they're real easy. You would just take the lid off the top, put this down in the hole, you screw this shut, and then you just pump this up and down like this. And it's not the the easiest thing in the world, but it's not hard, but it just takes a little bit of work, like a pump would do. And it'll just pump the water right out here, and then you can dispense it into your barrel or whatever you've got to put your water in. These are made of plastic, and so I would also suggest having several of these on hand and maybe buying a new one every 5 or 7 years or something, just to make sure you've got, newer quality machinery or whatever, because you don't want to have it deteriorate on you right when you need it. And I don't know, sometimes don't you just wish that things would start happening, just so that you could use all your stuff. At the same time, we don't really want to start happening because then we have to use all our stuff, so we're just waiting around. But anyway, those are my favorite kinds of water storage, and I hope that you will get started if you haven't already. On the blog, I will put sources for these different things that you can check out, especially those boxes with the Mylar bags in them. Those are the best ones, and those stack several high. And you can put those in corners of your house and just have them ready to use when you need them. In the meantime, while you're maybe saving up for those, they're not terribly expensive, but it will cost you a little. Start filling up your pop bottles, and you can put those under your sinks, round corners in your rooms. It looks a little tacky, but you can always put a cloth over them if you, have a problem with looks, or underneath your sinks, like your bathroom sink under the covers around the edges, and it can go in places like that. I've actually heard of people that take and find places in their basements where they don't have any sheetrock over the studs, and they will stack them up in between the studs. So people are being very creative, and I'll put some more ideas on the blog also. So thanks for being here with me today, and happy water storing.